Everybody,
Yeah.
find your monsters.
Yeah.
Little monsters of finding monster right. Adam's back. Fuck yeah!
Yay! Welcome to Finding Monster
The
Rights.
show about finding monsters, right?
Right.
I'm Allie, and ladies and gentlemen, podcasting for the first time as a couple, welcome to the floor, Adam and Alex Lemma.
Yes.
Am
Hi.
I original? Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're back in action, and I brought Alex with me.
Yes. Hello. I'm back.
Yeah, you may remember Alex from such episodes as the Diablo job and the Wookiee episode.
Yeah.
She's here to talk about a couple things with us, including 50 Feys of Fey.
Fey-r and Loathing in Las Vegas. We didn't do any puns for all of the episodes that we did while you guys were on your honeymoon in Greece.
Mm-hmm. Having a wonderful time over there.
Yeah.
And for some reason, you developed a new theory about where it really was.
Well, I tried to listen back to some of the episodes that I was listening to, and they're very forgettable, meaning that I play them and then suddenly it's over.
Huh.
And time has passed, but sometimes it hasn't passed.
Yeah. And so for similar reasons, we're going to be talking about a land where time passes a lot. The land of the Fey. Alex.
Adam.
Allie.
You have a different history than us when it comes to the Fey and their collected works, yes?
Yes. I don't know. My initial Fey is Tinkerbell.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's like the
I think it's a pretty common
original millennial fairy, right?
Millennial?
Probably, like, that movie's from, like...
the 30s?
19 -5 or whatever, so...
But my boomer parents were like, make this baby shut up. Put on Peter Pan.
Let's tink this up.
Mine did that with Charlotte's Web.
But, yeah, okay. Tinkerbell. Everyone knows the fairy. The fairy dust makes you fly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then I just read this book about, what's it called? Court of Roses Crying or something.
Oh, you read a lot of books.
That's true, and I clearly remember them all very well.
We've talked about fantasy characters before, like changelings, and I'm like trying to explain to you because I know them from D&D, and you're like, I know what a changeling is.
Oh, I did read a book called The Moor Child. So that's about Scottish, I guess technically fairies, but they seem a little bit more sinister.
Yeah.
Yeah. The real changelings are like, or the changelings that Alex is probably more familiar with from like fantasy stuff is probably more inspired by like actual changeling lore, whereas D&D changelings are mostly just like Eberron thing where it's like, do you want to be Mystique? You can be a Mystique, and that's not how changelings does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's changelings in D&D are like to make the which one do I shoot situation.
Yeah.
You are well read on different fantasy works and recently read A Court of Thorns and Roses.
That book. Yes, I did recently read that.
You read it in Greece.
I did, on this awful ferry ride. I thought we were going to die, Titanic style. So I figured I might as well read this book about fairy.
Okay, but if you crash like in between like the Peloponnesian Peninsula and Santorini in like the middle of the day, that's very different from the middle of the Atlantic at 3 o'clock in the morning with icebergs and shit.
So true. But Adam still would have been in the water and I would have been on a door. I would have said, good luck, Adam. Give me your whistle before you let go.
I've never seen Titanic top to bottom. Does she sing that with the whistle?
I've never seen Titanic top to bottom either. I was gonna watch it with my roommates, but my one who's 19 kept making all these like comments during it, like, yo, are they gonna fuck in the car? And I was just like, this is not gonna be my first time watching Titanic. I'm out.
You've seen Titanic.
I've seen.
Does she sing with the whistle?
I mean, I don't think she sings. She just blows on it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Do they fuck in the car?
They do.
Okay. So 50-50.
But, like, I will say they dramatize the car fucking. Like, first of all, that she clearly hadn't done it that much. Like, you know, she's a 1900s lady. And it wasn't that good that you're smacking the car window. Right? Like, simmer down. Like, calm down, ma'am.
All right. But back to the book that you read, which has no sex in it whatsoever.
Oh, it's a very PG-13 book, so they just hint at sex.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we shut the door, and then the next day they're at breakfast naked, mysteriously.
Ooh.
We have no clue what happened in between.
Mm-hmm. They took the clothes off, apparently.
Allegedly, but you never know.
So, to give us the elevator pitch of the book. Well, what's this tale that there is? Because I think when she was describing it to me, I'm like, oh, that sounds like a Fey 101 story.
So far, what I know about this book is naked breakfast. So
It's actually like a very Beauty and the Beast type story where the Fey, so the humans don't like the Fey. They're demonized by human culture. Humans do that, you know. The Fey she kills a Fey by mistake because the Fey are also shapeshifters.
Yeah.
Some of them can change into wolves. This one changed into a wolf. She shot it because she was hungry with a bow and arrow. Then his Fey bestie came up and was like, how fucking dare you? I can either kill you or you can come live in my palace of wonders forever. And I don't understand that. Like, I feel like that's a very strange bargain. Someone was like, we're going to write down our laws and the punishment's either like live in splendor forever or we kill you. Like,
Yeah, so the way I understand, or at least like to run Fey in a D&D setting, is a very orange and blue morality.
that's a TV tropes thing where it's like instead of black and white morality, it's like
Black and white, good and bad.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's more like weird and weird.
yeah.
Like they value different things. I think names and true names and naming stuff like that's very important to Fey.
Is Rumpelstiltskin a fairy or?
Debatably, yeah.
Yeah, he follows a lot of the same essence. He shows up and he wants something that's like, it's not really like a good thing or a bad thing, but he wants like your firstborn.
So this book also had a name thing. So just to quickly summarize, the book starts out where the poor human girl gets taken in by the fairies who suspiciously look like regular people. They just have six-packs and pointy ears. And
Did she have to choose between a blonde and brown-haired Fey?
blonde and red-haired Fey.
Progressive.
Yeah, right.
But also like doubling down on the fairy creatures.
Oh, speaking of that, but not really, we have to unveil the October theme.
Yes, right.
So
Correct.
at the beginning of the year, I downloaded 12 fan fiction tags that would show up in a fanfic that you could search by. And for each one of them, I've listed them for one of the 12 months of 2023. September's was Dom Sub Undertone, so that was a great month for you to miss.
Yeah, I'm glad I tapped out of that one.
We enjoyed our time together, didn't we? And I'm glad somebody laughed at that. And October's is queer culture.
Oh, so I think which makes a lot of sense when we're talking about fairies and the Fae.
Yeah.
Because in the same way that their morality isn't like black and white, I think they're very often portrayed as pansexual, as they love Peter Pan, that little twink.
They kind of have this, like, immortality, bisexuality thing going on, where it's like, if you live forever, like, why set boundaries?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
That was one of the issues I had when we were watching The Eternals. Mm-hmm. And like, cause it was doing a very much like a superhero team, like, oh, these two were together, and like, I'm like, you're Eternals. All of you should have hooked up at some point.
He's not wrong.
Well, I think fairies also have in some lore have this idea of like a life, like a partner, like it's a soulmate type thing. Like you can marry someone and bang them for a while, or you can have like a true soulmate. It's deeper than a marriage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this book has that as well.
Okay, tell us more about it.
The Eternals are fairies.
Ooh,
I don't know. I didn't read. So this is a series, so obviously, like they can't commit to this like deep relationship.
It's a real Sam and Diana. They can't really. We can't give them what they want right away.
Right. But yeah, they talk about it briefly. But yeah, so there's like relationships and there's marriages, but then there's like your soulmate bond, and that's forever. It's kind of like I would say it's like a human dragon thing. Like when your dragon dies, you just bite the dust.
Right.
It's over.
Yeah. You know, to use a real world example.
I feel like your like audience would be like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Most people nodded at that, even if they.
Both of them would think that, yes.
So the neat thing about that kind of dynamic, like you said, they are long-lived.
Mm.
And I think people talk about this when it comes to elves in a lot of fantasy worlds. It's like, oh yeah, your culture is way different because you're around for so long.
Well,
Yeah.
I think Fae also have like a reputation of being very high emotion,
Mm.
and if you're long lived, I think you have to be.
Yeah, if you did not have a lot of emotions and a long life, then like what are you doing?
Right.
You kind of have to develop, like, the sense about yourself. Like, I am as old as the moon and the stars. I was born when the skies were opened, and I will die when they fall, you know?
Yeah.
Just like a normal kind of standard thing that I would say to myself at like 2:30 in the morning when I'm still awake.
And that's why the Fey are all about kind of politics and courts and stuff like that, and
Just
obtaining
like gay people continue.
and obtaining different statuses, because that is like it's about long schemes and big machinations.
But also having to
Big
fill your
machinations.
time. Like, if you have all the time in the world, like, yeah, I better focus on this nonsense for a few months because then I have to move on to something else forever.
Well, one of the themes I think that you mentioned in your book that is like often true in these stories is that humans, they live short, they burn out fast. That's why they're all about like war. That's why they like fight each other and like get into like, little conflicts, because that's the fastest way for them to obtain power. They can't play court games for like hundreds of years.
Right. People fight to become the momentary leaders of the fraction of a dot and all that.
Mm-hmm. And it's a little bit more about prodigy and children that you like raise, progeny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your line of succession versus Fey, which I think are a little more like, it's me.
They also do have like a kind of royal court sort of thing going on with their like children, and I think like it's usually like, I think it only goes like a generation deep though, usually. I don't think that there's often a lot of like grandparent Feys and all. Well, there's like grandmother whatever is a pretty standard Fey name, but then like great grandmother feels like weird, you know?
Yeah.
But also, I guess, it's how long does it take a Fae to come of age?
It depends.
I think,
or a fairy?
yeah, I can imagine taking like elves in D&D, it takes 100 years for them to stop being a kid.
Yeah.
Something, kind of hard for us to fathom. Like a whole human lifespan.
Mm.
So I feel like fairies don't reproduce a lot because they live forever. So
And
is it
also because
rude
they're
if
gay.
you have like one?
Well, okay, so queer culture is the theme of this. I do want to point out that, like, yes, fairy is a slur that's sometimes been reclaimed for, I think, gay men specifically, and the queer community in general in a broader sense. And, like, Tinkerbell and all that is obviously, like, who...
If you are a member of queer culture that is kind of like fairy-like, you might be called twink.
Yes,
or a little...
speak for me. No, continue, sorry.
So my first thought would be like Twinkie if someone someone's calling me fat.
But my point is, there's also a lot of overlap there between the Fae and people who are non-neurotypical and the queer community. There's a lot of overlap in those three things because, like, with people who are, like, on an autistic spectrum or any kind of, like, anxiety disorder, depression, all of that kind of stuff, like, that same kind of shit that gets you labeled as, like, a changeling child and not my real child anymore. In old-timey times, like, you're a changeling, you were switched out with the Fae, you're not real, we need to call the exorcist or whatever the hell. A lot of non-neurotypical people identify as queer or end up doing that because it's like, that's just one more societal rule that they, possibly me, I don't know, don't get and are just like, fucking whatever with all this stuff. This is nonsense, I'm not going to subscribe to it, I'm going by they, them, and I'm going to get a name of a god and I'm going to date Allie.
Yeah, it's like it's signing up for that blue orange morality.
Yeah.
It's like, these things are not important to me that are important to you.
And these things that are important to me are not important to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, so never interrupt a Fae when they're talking about bionicles.
So yeah, they're weird, they like different stuff. Any other... You said that they look like humans.
They're weird, they like different stuff, they're freakish, they don't belong in human society. Go on.
We should chase them with pitchforks. But
Go off about the metaphors. yeah, they're weird anyway.
But you say that throughout most of the book they look like humans, like ordinary.
So there's different levels of Fae. Only the bougie Fae, called the High Fae, look like humans and are bangable.
So the other ones...
Although,
Coward.
technically, I don't know if... So the girl only bangs the High Fae. I guess I'm not sure. The other one, she says, like, some of them look like trees. Like, they look different. than the high Fey, which look like jacked human men. There's only a few female high Fey that you meet in this book.
So maybe in the sequels they explore more dynamics there.
Maybe the evil Fey is a female, which is rude. Of
course.
Yeah. And the other thing that bothers me about this book is that she gives a very Rumpelstiltskin riddle. Like if you can guess, I'm going to put you through all this torture and you can skip all of it if you guess the answer to this riddle. The answer is love, which makes me want to kill myself. And I'm a newlywed. And it's so silly to me. How can you're going to really subject this girl to all this torture? Oh, let me rephrase this. Illiterate girl. I forgot to say that. So the girl can't read, and they make a huge point of that. And then,
which makes her sound like the most human.
No. It also is funny how much this book shades humankind. It's so funny to me. But yeah, they give this girl a riddle, and she saves the race of fairies essentially, and she can't fucking read, and she can't solve this puzzle where the answer is love. What is this? What is this book even about? Mm-hmm. What are we doing here?
I think they want you to feel smarter than her as a teenage girl yourself reading this hypothetically. Figure out the riddle before the character does, so you can be it's love. It's
I just don't know why all these writers have angle towards teenage girls, have them sacrificing themselves for men, Twilight. What is this?
Yeah,
this is not the message you should be sending these youths.
Agreed.
Write about something else.
It's
or have your own values. It's not all about the dude.
Don't learn to read and better yourself. Sacrifice yourself for this guy you met 6 months ago.
Well, also it's old-timey times, so they aren't all, most people in her village, regardless of gender, are probably not literate. There's probably only one guy who can read.
The funny thing, it's a twist, sort of. So the girl comes from a noble family that fell from grace.
Oh, that's less likely then that she wouldn't be able to read.
So her sisters can read, and she instead learned to hunt to feed the family when they fell from grace.
So she's doing all the work.
She's doing all the work.
And getting punished for it.
Yes! No, that's not true. In the end, I don't want to... Spoiler alert, if you're going to read this book, she gets turned into a fairy.
Whoa.
Which I think is bullshit. What?
No, I've read enough vampire books to know that's what you want. If this is a book for people who are into the idea of Fae, if this is a thinly veiled fantasy that's being sold of and then he would say that he would either kill me or I'd have to live in his castle forever, and then I would have to die because I sacrificed myself for him because I love him so much. And the riddle is what can you give but never take is love. And then I just made that up now. I'm
That's the book.
Yeah.
That is the riddle.
And then I'd become a Fae, and then I'd live with him forever, and I'd get cool Fae powers, and I'd wiggle my fingers and shoot lightning bolts at people or whatever the hell.
Yeah, a lot of I would call it supernatural young adult fiction. At some point, the point of view protagonist character gets the cool powers that they of the people that they meet.
Yeah,
yeah, it's natural.
But for doing nothing.
Supernatural.
Yeah,
all I did was love this person.
Well, I do want to say I think love is a currency that would be appreciated by the Fae. More so than monetary wealth. They're a stone that means nothing. These two souls that are intertwined, that is valuable to me.
That being said, these Fae had a lot of money. Just throwing that out there.
Oh,
they were rolling in it, and they talk about it.
Okay. Oh
well, fuck me, I guess.
That is the pose I'm doing right now.
Yeah, he's got this. He's got the hands on the fists on the hips. Well, darn.
Yeah, but okay.
Did you ever watch the Merlin series?
I've only seen episodes with you.
Yes,
I've seen bits and pieces.
It's a British show, and they also have the Fae.
How are the Fae in that? Are they directly evil? Are they just different? Are they outsiders?
So I think also different outsiders. They live on a realm, I guess. What's a dimension that's different?
Yeah.
Than humans. But when they show up in the human world, they're what humans would describe as classically unattractive.
Oh.
They have demonic looking features, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But they change into humans to please the other humans.
The word classically is doing a lot of heavy lifting there for me specifically, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I like the idea. I've heard some versions of the Fae where they're like otherworldly. We watched was it Pan's Labyrinth?
Oh yeah,
Which is one that was like, oh, what I'm seeing here? This is kind of a creepy creature, but there's also like a natural beauty to it almost.
oh yeah. Have you seen Pan's Labyrinth, Alex?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
Really
I don't think
good.
we've ever watched it together. But it's like the fawn in that one.
Mm-hmm.
He has a. It's this creature with like elkin horns.
Wait, are fawn Fae?
It depends. We talked about this a little bit during one of our previous Christmas episodes where we were talking about if elves count as monsters and like what Mr. Tumnus. But like originally satyrs and fauns and stuff weren't really like they were their own thing, or they were like nymphs or like related to nymphs and that kind of thing. But then as like, after Christianity took hold and after
Fae became like an umbrella term for a lot of those weirdos.
Yeah, like a lot of them got like a lot of like Roman and like Greek myths were folded into Fae. I remember listening to a podcast once about how somebody was in Ireland and they were saying that the Fae were angels who were on Earth when God, like Thanos, snapped his fingers and like decided like you're going to be a demon or an angel forever depending on how much you've rebelled.
If you're in like limbo in a material plane, then you become a Fae, a weird creature.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's like all these different ways of incorporating older, like pre-Christian myths into like a Christian compatible theology.
Yeah, like how do we explain away what you guys have been saying to yourselves in the villages for hundreds of years?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, those were angels that stuck around.
Or those were Fey, or those were cursed humans, or like that story, that wasn't about Breach, that was about Saint Bridget, a different guy, girl. That's going to be important for us, the Catholics. We're going to make everybody sad about it for hundreds of years. It's going to be great. You're going to love it. Hate it.
So yeah, we and I think it's about time we crack open our premise of the week.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, where we talk about how Las Fey-gas, the city of lights, sitting in the desert, Las Vegas. Is this a Fey paradise or a Fey hell?
This is your idea, pretty much. Mm-hmm. This is like a title that we came up with ages ago that I dug up, and then you're really
like, oh yeah. I think that the Feywild in Las Vegas have a lot of things, an interlap that I think we need to explore.
The funny thing was, we pitched this, you pitched this like 2 years ago or something, and it was just sitting there in the document, and then I put it on the thing of like, yeah, this is something we can do about the Fey, and then you were like, I really like that idea you had about Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Oh,
this is the best idea you've ever had, Allie.
Misattributed. You really got me with this one. You really matched my intentions.
But no, so like it's in a desert you would see a mirage that's like not quite real, and like this is a huge city in the middle of a desert that shouldn't exist.
Shouldn't exist. Hard to believe, and
colorful lights and everything. Described
as like magical. Like you go there and you go inside and you don't know what time it is. You're in this kind of Twilight era.
Yeah, the casinos are designed to keep you wandering through them forever, like a labyrinth, no windows or clocks or anything like that.
And you go there and you play games. Mm-hmm. You're like given like kind of quests to do and tasks that you risk your own wealth to try and achieve.
And also Britney Spears is there sometimes.
She's very Fey.
Oh, poor Brittany. She's been going through it recently.
Yeah, she's always going through it.
I wouldn't describe her as Fey. I feel like...
No.
Unfortunately, I feel like she'd be described as a changeling.
She's like betwixt. Haunted by Fey.
What I'm saying is if I saw her in the Feywild, I would be like, that makes sense to me.
Yes. For sure. I guess so. Have you been to Vegas before?
I've not.
Have you been to Vegas?
No.
Interesting.
If I did go, I'm not allowed to talk about it.
So,
what does that mean?
What happens in Vegas
stays in Vegas.
Yeah.
Another question I have. I'm not sure to answer this. Do casinos exist in places besides the United States?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's a people gamble in like back alleys and stuff like that.
I think Italians gambling over a table.
That feels right, like Monte Carlo or something.
Right, or Slytherin's gambling with
it's one of those things...
muggle floating above the table.
What does that mean?
From Harry Potter.
What's that?
Slytherins?
What's any of those?
I was doing a bit weird.
What?
I don't like Harry Potter because we're not We're not a JK friendly podcast.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot. Like, I didn't know JK sucked for a really long time.
I heard it on the wind long before the Straits figured it out, but like, ugh.
Adam actually told me that, and I had no idea. I was shook. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how can you write all this good stuff and suck?
Right.
But
Well, it's like,
I digress.
it's a thing where I've had to like really move on and bury it and everything because I can't stand to look at it anymore, you know?
And I like it as art. But that's another topic. So yeah, I think that it's definitely a thing that was born in America and got adopted elsewhere. At least the big versions of it. There's games that, like gambling, card games and stuff like that, that originated in other countries.
Casino sounds like it has a Romance language root word, right? So like the word must come from something in like Italian or Spanish or something.
Well, I guess, like, the idea, like, how the Feywilds are you kind of go in and there's no time, or time moves differently than in the real world. And I always see Fey mythology coming from outside. I see pretty much everything coming from outside the U.S., because the U.S. is #new.
No one was here for thousands of years.
The first casino was in Venice, Italy.
That's not surprising.
And I think it was around like 1638. Like there was gaming and stuff like that for many years beforehand, but
Like gaming halls or whatever.
yeah, and like
Or
Rome.
playing cards in a tavern somewhere in a fantasy novel that Adam will go on to read in 100 years.
But I feel like the lotus flower, like the Percy Jackson interpretation of that Greek thing where you go in the Lotus Club and you're gone for time moves differently and you're gone for 10 or 50. Well, that's from the Odyssey?
There's a lot of works. Odyssey is a good example of one. In D&D, that's the rules of the Feywild. You go in and like you roll a dice when you leave to see how much time has passed, and it could be like a year.
Oh, that's it?
It could be 10 years.
So does the what are you called?
Could be 100 years.
Okay.
Could be 1,000
what's like the
years.
most time have you ever gone to the Feywild when you played?
In D&D, yeah. Because of exterior circumstances, like, usually the DM's running a campaign where it's like, you can't really leave for years. Things would change.
Are there magical things in the Feywild that you want?
Yes.
Like, why go in there?
It depends. Like Adam's character was abducted by a Fey. God, what's her title? A lady, a princess, a countess?
Yeah, Queen Sarah Ray?
Queen Sariane, Queen of Glamour and Song, which was a homebrew.
Yeah, basically what happened was he was trying to become an adventurer.
Adam's character, Eli.
Yeah, he's trying to become an adventurer like his lost love was. And she ran away from the village that they grew up in. He met this Fey and he's like, oh, you can give me powers? Great, so I want that. So he was like a bard in her court for many years. And then he was sent to be an adventurer and he had lost all his memories of her.
Oh,
So-
I remember this character.
Yeah, so he would do tasks and give her gifts in exchange for memories of this lost love. So memories are an important thing to the Fae. Again, it's all about that. Memories, true love, their currency that they find fascinating. And we at one point, I think early on, adventured in the Feywild and came back, and it was like, it's been 2 weeks since you last left, even though we were just there for a day. Yeah. Other times it was instantaneous, so it's a mix.
Well, I guess no, DM is gonna want to make you skip ahead 100 years and then have to shuffle oh fuck, let me make up some stuff as to what's happening now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might do that as a plot point, but they would never do that on a die roll.
Yeah, unless some DMs improv and roll with that stuff. that stuff, but you'd hate to make a whole plan and then it's like, oh yeah, you left and you failed. But no player wants to hear that.
So what real life situation would convince you to go into the Feywild?
Ooh.
That's a good question. There was this tale of a...
The promise of magical and exotic dick.
Ooh.
Define magical dick.
I can't now, I'm a married woman.
Okay.
I'm imagining it all I want.
Okay, fair enough. I recall there's some stories, and this kind of goes in line with a lot of Hollow Earth theories and things like that. People are like, oh, there's a magical world underneath ours, and things like that. People that travel there. That's one of the pitches. It's like, if you're an adventurer that's lost, it like here's a realm, a magical realm that you've never seen before. If you're like a cartographer and you're like at the edge of the map, seeing something incredible that's beyond there, something that you couldn't even fathom. So
there's also that story that I've seen in both like Japanese and Irish mythology for whatever reason, or folklore, or what have you. It's like a fisherman or something will like find a fish or whatever. Crazy so far. And like the fish is like, I'm actually a fae, and why don't you come with me or something? Or like he frees a mermaid from a net or something, and then they go underwater and they hang out for 3 days, and it's like, yeah, no, that was cool partying and everything, but I think I'd like to go back now. Okay, take this box and don't open it. And then like they go back, and it's instead of 3 days, it's been 300 years. And they open the box and they turn old.
That sounds like a terrible deal. It's a good story to not go fishing.
Yeah, the moral of the story is never fish.
That's what they teach the kids nowadays. That's the purpose of that fairy tale. Don't fish. But yeah, no, it's time moves differently, and I think it makes sense if you're living like an immortal being. If you live long enough, it doesn't matter if a year passes or 10 years pass.
I guess I wouldn't trust to go in a Feywild because I feel like in most stories I've read, the Fey are superior to humans, and I feel like they would fucks with me.
Yeah,
this is the whole point of why I'm going.
Yeah, but you have to like, solve a riddle and be illiterate to be turned into a fairy. Like, it's too late for you. You can read.
Yeah, you have to. It's all kinds of tricks and games, and that's the thing. I like games, but not when like my being is on the line.
I just feel like being a fairy is you spend eternity. Like, do you want to spend an eternity fucking around and finding out? Like, I don't know. Unsure.
Yeah, I think.
No, I'm down.
I could see it as a thing at like the end of my life. It's like, I had enough fun in the mortal realm. Let's go to where the Fey are, and things are like wacky wild over there.
Maybe that's why there's like old Fey, like old witches and grandfathers and things.
Yeah, they have had a long enough time. I feel like if I was a Fey creature and if I was around for long enough, it's like, I don't want to be a human shape anymore. I want to be a tree man. And you do that for a couple centuries, and then it's like, all right, cool, time to be a sun. Then you like float around as a little light. Question for both of you. If you had a Fey, like a Fey friend, would you want them to be a therapist, therapy animal, or needs therapy?
Oh, I've always wanted to play this.
Ooh. Have we not done this game with you?
I don't remember.
Huh.
Oh, well, now we are.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, I have a fairy friend.
Yep.
And I have to pick between hold on. Well, I need a therapist. And
You're very excited for this game you don't know about.
So.
But do you think that a Fey would be a good therapist?
No.
Exactly.
It'd be a terrible
Bad
therapist.
advice. It'd be like, oh man, I'm having a lot of stress at work. It's like, eat your socks. Like it's.
That would be way more. Okay, if I had a Fey therapist, they'd be telling me some fucked up shit.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is the dose you give. That I'd kill someone by accident and then
Sniff these crow bones.
Alright, okay, so what are my other options? So therapist is a no.
Therapy animal.
Ooh.
I think like a Tinkerbell functions in the story much like a therapy animal.
You know how
I'm sure she would not appreciate that.
Okay, so the Fey. Poor standards for therapy.
Yeah.
Bad therapy standards. So in Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay.
There's it's the new video game that's, you guys know video games better than I do. What am I talking about? But like, it's a new video game that's out for like a month now, so it's not new. But it's D&D based, and one of the love interests that you can pursue is a druid who turns into a bear. Yes, you can fuck him when he's turned into a bear.
This is what the game was sold on.
I'm glad that you knew my question immediately.
Yes. Well, this is my point. I think I might have to go therapy animal with this one.
I see what you're saying. And that I
call that a honeypot.
For a different reason, I think I'm going to go with therapy animal, because the last one's needs therapy.
For a different reason?
Wait, Wait, I think a lot of fairies need therapy.
I don't think therapy would help them.
That's every
true.
monster, though.
I think therapy is like it follows the black and white morality. It's like, what are you doing here, and why do I want to do it? And you have like a Puck figure who's just like, look, I'm doing it for the kicks. Like, I'm doing this because doing it is what I enjoy.
Don't you feel like there's a part of yourself that is a little bit Fey, though?
Ooh,
You're not really living a black and white lifestyle.
There's a little bit of some people call it lizard brain, where it's like sometimes you just do things because you're a human.
Like why the fuck not though? Mm-hmm. Or like you see like the right thing you should do or the right thing you should tell someone, and you're just like,
you're like,
yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna add more salt to that.
Yeah, right. Like sometimes I like
your Fey brain is very goblin.
Yeah, I think so, and doing very innocuous things.
You're more goblin, I'm more goblin king, I'll be honest. Sarah, forget about the babies, Sarah. You only have until 13 o'clock.
I don't know. I love like watching drama and shenanigans. Like
you would love seeing Fey antics.
Baby mama drama. I'm like, yes, sign me up. That's my like guilty pleasure. That's like the Fey part of me. It's just like a trifling Fey part of me. But
another Fey part of you is that you use the word trifling.
What? Everyone says trifling.
I don't know. That sounds very like a trifling matter. Like,
well, that's the thing about being immortal. Nothing's trifling, and everything's trifling.
Well, that
it's the most. Where's the cold iron?
Yeah.
You gotta keep a cold iron in this goddamn house.
So the other thing that I think is worth mentioning here is that, first of all, just adding sprinkles onto this theory. Pouring a glass of wine.
I know. Don't cut that out. That sound effect needs to be there.
Oh no! I honestly could use a little bit of like I'm doing Foley work. Stop the episode.
I don't think we mentioned it, but we're in the same location.
Yeah.
Surprise!
It sounds. I think that might be self-evident. I'm visiting Adam and Alex in their lovely suburban home. Yes,
and we. I have another question I'd like to posit. Mm-hmm. A little game we called Monster Rehab. A Fey creature has made it into our world. What's a good job for them to have?
I'm taking that thing to Vegas.
Well, would a Fey like Vegas?
I think they really. I feel like, okay, it's The Hangover, right?
Yes.
Oh my god, this is the best D&D premise I've ever heard of. Is like, you remember in the game with Eli where I played Rin, who was a changeling, a D&D sort of changeling where they were pretty much just Mystique. But also they were a druid and they could turn into a bear and things. But, this is confusing because Eli also got bitten by a werebear at some point, so... Okay.
My mind was in the same place. I'm like, there's too many dots being connected here.
Too many dots. Okay, take it back. But, like, do you remember how we went to the Feywild for that wedding that one time?
Yes.
Yeah.
2 princesses got married.
In D&D.
In D&D, in the Feywild.
It was the only progressive thing Vic ever did. So, so what if, like, we were hanging out with one of them and they got lost in, like, the fantasy world equivalent of Vegas? That's a fun D&D quest. It's just do The Hangover, but with Fey.
Yeah, no.
And you have to follow the trail of, like, wacky magic bullshit throughout the city.
Agreed. I think they would like any kind of place that is loud, bright, causes mischief.
Normal rules of morality are shifted.
Yeah, like, oh, you can go over there and get married?
There's a lion.
Wait, what's that Asian character's name from The Hangover? The guy that used to be a doctor.
Ken Jeong?
Yes,
yeah.
He was just ridiculous and amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He definitely has Fey vibes.
Oh, he's a full-on Fey, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wow,
great point.
Yeah.
Just like coming in, like
I'm proud of you for the this connection.
Unbothered by anything, and like it's just there for the wild ride and causes all this trouble. But in the end, they're like, "Tee-hee, let's take a bunch of pictures together." Like. He definitely has Fey energy.
Yeah.
On your cabeza without a chaser, not another teacher with this much flavor.
Like pops out of the trunk, like yeah.
You got it.
I'm naked.
What's that magic? Jump on me.
I can't like imagine a Fey having a job. Because when I think of jobs, I think of misery, taxes, annoying managers.
There's no blue collar Fey or white collar Fey.
I can't imagine that. They're always like.
They're always like above that.
Oh my god, wait. If a Fey had a job, it would have to be something that they were really into, but they didn't understand normal, like, societal conventions. I just listened today to a different podcast, also hosted by Adam. What if Ed from Good Burger is a Fey?
I think...
Alec will look up...
I don't support Adam's Good Burger habits.
He does have different morality.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a good person despite everything else. And
I don't remember what my dad looks like, but at least I get to see him every day.
It's a very Fey answer.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier today about a man that works at a bagel shop.
Oh.
That just, like, fucking loves his life.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking about doing a career change from nursing to owning a bagel shop.
Fuck yes!
This guy looks so happy. He made my coffee. He's so fast, and he's like, he always just he has a smile on his face to see me. All he's doing is buttering my bagel.
That's the type of Fey I see in, like, food service. It's someone that's like, oh, it's like when rich influencers, like, cosplay as, like, fast food workers. They're like, haha, I did this for a day. Wasn't this neat? I made someone's coffee. Like, that's the Fey vibe, I guess.
This guy was, like, way too happy, though. Like, he seemed very peaceful. Mm-hmm. Like, I realized Fey is mischievous a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's, like, incorrect, though.
When I was at the zoo, and I would stand in, like, the little walk-through aviary place, and there were, like, all these different birds in there, because it's an aviary, that's what that word means. I don't know why I had to... But, like, people would always, like, walk in through the little, like, double-door flap things, and, like, a 5-pound... like, Victoria Crown pigeon would just, like, fly past their head, and then, like, it would fly past my head, wouldn't even blink. Crash and I are bros. And, like, I would just be like, Crash is the name of the pigeon, and I would just be like, hi, welcome to the rainforest, and they'd be like, oh, thank God, someone who knows their shit. Like, that feels like that's me as the work Fey.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where the Fey can be in rehab. They can just, like, possess people or just, like, changeling them, just replace them for a bit, just to be like, I'd like to know what it's like to be at a zoo or a fast food shoppery or a business
but to your point,
building.
There's undercover boss.
Ooh, undercover Fey. Oh wait, hang on, is there a better pun there?
No, there's not.
Boss, cross, boss.
The ultimate dad joker has gone through every possible option.
Yeah, I know.
Came up with nothing.
I ran the Matrix through my head, and I can't do it. But
the ultimate dad joker. Do you want to know why I got these scars? Well, I was out drinking with Pete and John, and we. I don't have the masculine. I don't have the shitty dude energy anymore to bring Heath Ledger Joker energy. I'm sorry, gang.
Under lover boss.
There. Oh.
That might be the best one.
Yeah.
All right. Close.
It's not. It's not good. But I think we're gonna do better.
No, sorry.
That might be the best we could do.
Unseelie cover boss.
You're fired from this job.
All right. We're not getting far here. Is there anything else we want to talk about the Fey? Because we're at about 45 minutes.
Wait, you were going to ask me a question. You got sidetracked by your terrible dad jokes.
I think that a Fey in, like, food service, they would not be in a position where they'd have to repeat themselves and something multiple times.
Oh, if
the second time they had to say something, it's, like, over.
I feel like people would be shitting their pants. Like, they're like, haha, listeria outbreak. TV.
I very much think they'd be like, what do humans eat?
Yeah.
Box.
Napkin.
Spoon. That seems chewy. I bet they like that with their human teeth.
Well, what things are consistent to all, like, Fey lore? I feel like the iron thing is very common.
Yes, cold iron.
Yeah.
Is there kryptonite.
What is cold iron?
Iron that is not forged like steel. It's
more
more like carved.
What if it's literally just cold?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
Oh, really?
I just assumed it was unheated
no,
iron.
I mean, like, you dig up iron from the earth, and you don't, like, forge it into a weapon. It's just, you more shape it into a dagger.
I think there's more, like that one piece of sandstone that's shaped like a knife that I have that I can't seem to find recently.
Yeah.
So I wonder why, though. Like, why cold iron? Like,
I think it's like it's to bind to, like, an ordinary Earth. That's why it's there versus because I imagine Tinkerbell style, hopping and bouncing all about, while this is a boring rock from the material world. It's the opposite of you, therefore you are weak to it.
Oh, that's actually interesting. I'm impressed by that.
Thank you.
Well, I always wonder where these, like, myths of things that, like, for example, the vampires and garlic and holy water and stuff, like, where do these ideas come from? Like, what harms fairies? What harms vampires? Like, what's the werewolf one?
Silver bullets.
Yes.
Originally just silver. The silver bullets thing is just a thing from, like, the 40s Wolfman movie.
But also, you can't have silver bullets unless you have guns, so that came after guns.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so silver, I think, is I don't know the actual answer, but
silver is for other things, too, though. It can't just be werewolves.
No, that's true, yeah. Silver is a very pure metal, so it's, like...
pure versus contaminated.
Yeah, that's what pure means. Good job, Adam. Very good.
No, contaminated being the werewolf. That might be the...
I don't think it's that deep. I think it's just that silver is pretty silver. Silver is...
shiny
pure.
and
silver is
dark.
Pure like how God is pure, and werewolves are the devil, and vampires are the devil, and any other kind of race of person besides me is the devil. Yes.
You don't think
you have a question?
You don't think like a shiny moon from another world and a shiny stone from our world
I don't think they thought
are
that
like
much about
fight
it.
each other?
They didn't think that much about it.
Okay,
I
fair
think
enough.
it was just like...
Well, there's only one Earth, and it was fucking flat.
True, but then some motherfucker made it round.
How dare they?
How dare they, honestly?
I like every night I look up and I see the moon. But don't worry, our planet's different.
I wish the Earth was flat, because then I would go out like further and further to the edge and feel lighter.
I will posit, though. I know that we're trying to give Fey a job.
Mm-hmm.
I can see, like, medical staff, like nurses being Fey.
Really?
I like that, though, because, like, you know, patients, like, will, like, give you so much bullshit, because they don't know what they're doing because they're a patient in the hospital or whatever, but, like, I feel like a Fey would be able to just, like, ignore or, like, shut down as needed, give somebody a pigtail or some shit, like...
I also feel like the hospital can be a little bit like the Feywild. Like, there's no...
It's bonkers.
There's no time. Anything could happen. Like, yeah, like, you've been there for what you think is 5 minutes, and...
it's been really 5 hours.
My shift is over. No, it's like, it never happens that way. It's always the opposite. But I do think there's a little bit... And then there's, like, a little... Sometimes, like, the patients seem like monsters that were sent here to test me. I don't know. And it's so random, it makes no sense. Like,
they thrive for that randomness.
Yes,
and
then
saying.
I also have, like, my mischievous... And I think a lot of nurses do, like, the mischievous side of, like, oh, baby mama drama. They're, you know, they're having a sword duel over shenanigan, over a turkey sandwich, like...
It is...
Is that a real story?
Oh, yes. No, not swords, but just a regular duel.
One time at the zoo, there were 2 women getting into a fist fight because one of her sister, who she was with, her boyfriend got her pregnant. And so they were fighting about that in the gift shop. And, like, guess who they got to deal with that? A security guard, not me. I got to watch, and it was great. Because I feel like this is true of, like... all customer service jobs to some extent, but it's like a cosmic horror story, because if that's a normal human person, what are you?
Yeah, I think the variety that you're talking about in that environment is what a Fey would thrive on. They don't want to see the same thing every day. That's against their nature. They like seeing weird, crazy, different things. So, hospital Fey.
But also, if I could have that immortality so I can deal with it instead of being exhausted, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think they'd be very good in that kind of environment.
Yeah. Anything with, like, an unpredictable element like that. Like,
you have pneumonia.
I don't think you'd be a good singer.
No, I don't think so either. So, why don't we go to the final rating, please?
Hi, my name's Adam. I'll be your goblin nurse.
Let me see your arm.
I would never let you stick me.
He has an extra stick.
Yeah. Guess what's on the stick?
More pneumonia!
Concerns on the stick.
I don't think you can put pneumonia on a stick. That's not it's not like a bacteria or something, right? Like, pneumonia is just fluid in the lungs, right?
I mean, that's like the name of the problem you have. So the problem is the bacteria in your lungs, and we call it pneumonia.
But how would you put that on a stick? Like, it's not like...
I think a Fey could figure it out. Final rating, please.
Okay, the final rating, please.
Dr. Adam has spoken.
What are we rating the Fey gang? What do you think of Fey as monsters in general? I think I like them a lot. Because they're not like demons or devils where it's kind of straightforward in the bad stuff that they do. What they do, it could be very different. It could change from work to work. One person could have a love interest to their Fey. The other person could be more like, oh, look, they just love mischief. And I think I think as an umbrella term, it's neat how many different varieties there are. Like, even just within D&D, you have hags, which are different than archfey, which are different than little dragons that fly, fairy dragons that fly around.
Little mud guys with riddles or whatever.
Yeah. So I personally, I think they're a highly rated 8.9 out of 10.
He always does this with like 8.8, 8.9.
Oh, I know. You should see him rating wineries when we go. Difficult to score. Because it's like, am I scoring based on do I want to meet one? Like, probably not. Do I want to hear about, read a story about one?
That's more.
Or I'm not, directly involved? Probably. I guess I'm going to give Fey a 5. I know that seems low.
That's fine.
But I think that they're so versatile, and there's so many different versions. And
half of them have to suck.
Right. I think that's just my neutral score. That's
fair.
0 out of 10. There is no depth of hell or height of heaven where you can hide my co-host from me. I guess I like 10 out of 10. Like, they're tricky like that.
Okay. Well, let's,
What? Is everything okay?
Yeah, something happened. I don't know what.
Huh.
But
I feel like I've tried to remember something.
Are you ready to say goodbye? We're at the end of the show. We had our ratings. Now we do our plugs.
Yeah. Check us out on our Discord. We're still doing stuff over there. It's a fun time. We hang out.
Yeah, and you can, if you enjoyed our show, listen back to an old episode or share with a friend.
Yeah. We're also going to be on Bluesky shortly.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We're going to...
We have an account. We just have to get it all set up.
Let me get the password for that. I'll work on setting that up a little bit.
Okay. So we'll do that. And finally, it's the month of October.
Yes.
Hope you enjoy some more spooks. I think we might have one more episode than usual.
Yeah, we might do a little more for Spooky Month, because we're a monster-themed podcast, so that makes sense.
It's the time when the monsters happen.
Yeah. So, Adam, have you listened to some of the old episodes that I did when you guys were away?
I did.
Okay, so I got a question for you.
Thumbs up.
Better answer now.
Okay, what's that?
Am I original?
Yeah.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Am I sexual?
Yeah.
Am I everything you need? You better find your monsters right.